This is K1DBC. All stations please stand by. The Denver Radio Club Learning Net starts in 5 minutes.
W0TX repeater.
This is K1DBC. The DRC Learning Net will start in 1 minute. All stations, please stand by. Good evening and welcome back to the Denver Radio Club Learning Net for April 3rd, 2024. How time is flying, 4 months into this year already. Good evening and welcome. This is a great place to learn about ham radio and STEM topics, and thankfully we have plenty of combined experience and expertise. This is Kilo 1 Delta Bravo Charlie, and my name is Daron. I'll be net control this evening. Last week, I want to thank again Jim, N0TRP, for filling in. Looks like you all had a pretty good conversations. Some QSYs about a 6-meter repeater or for our postnet QSO operations, talking about V2000 antenna, some 6-meter activity and upgrade frequency. But we'll be taking your comments, questions, check-ins, and more this evening. We meet every Wednesday, except the third Wednesday of the month at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time on 145.490 and 448.25. Excuse me, 448.625. Both have a negative offset. A PL tone of 100 hertz is required, so do make sure you use that. You can contact us via email, elmer@w0tx.org, or if you visit over on our website, w0tx.org/officers, you'll be able to get, floundering to bring that up here, more information, more phone numbers, email addresses, if you'd like to get a hold of someone, however you feel comfortable. There's no limit there. So this is K1DBC. We also stream and archive our nets on youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. So if you'd like to see behind the scenes of the net or visual context, that is an additional way to participate and view the net. This net can be broken at any time for emergency or priority traffic by using the word break. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? All check-ins to the net will be taken in alphabetical groups based on the first letter of the suffix of the operator's call sign. The suffix is the first letter after the number in the call sign. If you can, please try to use ITU phonetics for your call sign and indicate if you have any traffic or questions as you check in. We also have w0tx.org/check-in. You can follow along with the check-in process who's checked into this net and past nets, and just gives some good information about, basic information about that caller. So w0tx.org/check-in. With that, we'll start with suffixes beginning with the letters A through M, Alpha through Mike. If your suffix begins with letters A through M, Alpha through Mike, please check in now.
Whiskey 0 Alpha Whiskey Sierra, Albert in Westminster, no traffic.
WD 0 CIV Alpha Bravo CIV Lake Carlson, Denver, no traffic.
This is K1DBC Net Control. Hold up there for just a moment. There was a double just at the end of that, but I had W0AWS Albert and WD0CIV. Charles, thank you both very much for checking in. There was someone else calling in from Lakewood. If you didn't hear your call sign, go ahead and try once more, please.
W0TX repeater.
This is Kilo Echo 0 Alpha Bravo Ken in Lakewood with no traffic.
All right, Ken, I got you there. KE0 Alpha Bravo, thanks for checking in there. And yeah, it's difficult to avoid from a technical perspective aspect a double, but yeah, sometimes if someone talks a little bit longer or something like that, I can recognize voices, things like that. It's kind of strange from a net control perspective, but I appreciate everyone checking in here. Again, we'll take call suffixes A through M, Alpha through Mike. Please check in now.
Whiskey Golf 0 Lima Foxtrot Romeo Chance in Aurora.
All right, in that time we had WG0 LFR Chance. Chance, thanks for checking in. All right, this is K1DBC, net control station operating for the W0TX, Whiskey Zero Tango X-Ray, Denver Radio Club Learning Net. We're taking call suffixes. We'll move down on the alphabet here. November through Zulu, N through Z. If you'd like to check in, let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have any traffic or questions. Call suffixes N through Z. Please call now.
There was one last one you missed, Drone.
This is K1DBC Net Control. Sorry if I did double over one. Thank you, Jonathan. I'll get you checked in here in a second, K0SUM. And then there was someone else. I apologize if I doubled over you, but if someone else was trying to check in Alpha through Mike, please call now.
Yeah, we doubled the Roan. This is Kilo Foxtrot 0, Foxtrot Papa India, Ron in Lakewood. No traffic right now.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. My apologies about that. FPI Ron, KF0 FPI Ron, I got you checked in. Thank you so much for that. KE0SUM, I'll get you checked in here. Thanks for being able to hear that. I need to start maybe monitoring the other frequency somehow to detect that. But thanks for covering there. So this is K1DBC Net Control. Again, we'll just take all call signs, all call suffixes. We'll open up the whole alphabet. This is the Denver Radio Club Learning Net. Great place to learn about ham radio STEM topics. If you'd like to check in, let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have traffic or questions, all call signs, all call suffixes, please call now.
November 1, Golf Uniform Mike, Peter, and I do have a question.
November 0, Tango Romeo Papa, Jim in Lakewood. Good evening.
Kilo Delta 0, Uniform Kilo Romeo, Brandy in Arvada.
Kilo Foxtrot 0, Nevada Papa Sierra. Kilo Foxtrot 0, Nevada Papa Sierra. Paul and Littleton, no traffic.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. We'll hold up there for a moment. A few more check-ins. Really do appreciate that. We'll start off Net Control. We'd like to welcome and acknowledge the following check-ins. KF0FPI Ron. I may have said that once more. N1GUM Peter with traffic. N0TRP Jim. KD0UKR Brandy. Good to hear you in there. And KF0 NPS Paul. Thank you all so much for checking in here. All right, another call. We'll take all call signs, all call suffixes. If you'd like to check in just for the counter, if you have any traffic or questions to the Learning Net here this evening, please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. All right, just as a reminder, this is around an hour-long meeting. General Q&A about ham radio STEM topics and whatever you'd like to bring up. I see we have N1GUM Peter mentioned he has a question. We'll get back to you here in a moment, Peter. So if we have another 40 minutes, we'll take check-ins throughout the net. If you don't hear anyone else talking and you want to check in, please feel free to do so. Again, you can follow along with check-ins, w0tx.org/check-in. We're also streaming on youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. Feel free to check that out if you like. I have a few stories I can bring up. We'll bring it back to the group. I'll make sure that the group has the voice here, and then when there's a lull in conversation, I can certainly bring up some recent articles and things like that. One more call, though. We're taking all call signs, all call suffixes. If you'd like to check into the Denver Radio Club Learning Net, please call now. Okay, this is Daron, K1 DBC Net Control. Very quick club business, really. Just visit our website, w0tx.org. Plenty of information on there, recent news articles, recent meeting information. We have some upcoming DRC Saturday events. We'll be doing April 27th will be a build day, and I forget the exact project, but over the recent board meeting we discussed a project, a kit that will be available to build. I think more information on our website and more information to come on where that's going to be done. I think the location may change, but really cool stuff there. We recently had a club meeting a couple of weeks ago. Really do appreciate Tom speaking about AMSAT N5HYP was really a lot of fun. We had a really good Elmers session. And as mentioned, thanks to TRP, Jim, and Alex, KS0E, for taking recent net controls here and there. So really do appreciate that. With that, this is K1 DBC Net Control. I will throw it over to Peter, N1GUM. The net is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you, Daron, and good evening to the group. I have a question for the group. I came across some data about mobile antenna mounting positions on a vehicle, and it rather surprised me about the differences between the locations and the antenna performance. And then I found in the HRO catalog, I found some numbers from Larson and that I'm referring to. So if you take the reference antenna in the center of the roof and compare that to other mounting positions, there is as much as 2.8 dB loss by mounting it on a trunk or some other places. So I wonder if people have been seeing these numbers, can confirm it, or maybe have seen or can challenge these numbers. So I'm just curious if the difference is really up to 3 decibels. Back to net.
Great question there, Peter, N1GUM. Mobile antenna placement and the loss that you might receive in terms of a signal, in terms of the placement. I think I maybe saw this and didn't really, I just didn't think too much of it. I'll throw it out there. A good question there. Yeah, it looks like by Larson here, amateur catalog, at least on KV5R, best placement of a mobile antenna. And as mentioned, you'll have a little bit more loss on a trunk lip mount, for example, or your hood mounts, and whereas the center of the roof looks like you'll have the least amount of loss for a signal. So anyone else on that? Great question there. Go ahead. Please call now.
W0TX repeater.
Comment, SUM.
Yeah, Jonathan, KE0SUM. Go ahead.
Well, I think antenna placement is always important, but I think it's kind of obvious if you're on the center of your roof, you've got a great ground plane heading out and all. Omnidirectional. So once you move to a different location, you're either being blocked by the vehicle or you're changing your radiation pattern. So I'm guessing if you change that, you're definitely going to change your dB loss.
All right, appreciate the follow-up on that. And these numbers don't seem drastic, but from like 0.2 decibel, negative 0.2 decibel loss to 2.8, 3.0, 0.0, can cause, especially within HF considerations, probably a bit more loss than you might expect or want. So. Good follow-up there. Anyone else on that antenna placement, mobile antenna? I can read off a little bit of an article here, though. If anyone else has anything, go right ahead.
KD0UKR.
Yeah, KD0UKR. Brandy, go ahead.
So something I'm remembering from an old CB book that I perused a long time ago was that if the antenna is placed to the rear of the vehicle, you're going to have a front heavy radiation pattern, and the opposite also being true. Like if you were to put your antenna on the hood of the vehicle, then you'll have a rear heavy radiation pattern, and then for a more omnidirectional radiation pattern, you'd want to center the antenna on the roof.
UKR Brandy, thank you so much for the follow-up. It gave me a little click in my brain there about that, so thank you. And thanks to Jonathan for bringing that up as well in terms of the radiation patterns. And yeah, that makes a little bit more sense now. Thank you for the follow-up on that, Brandy. KD0 UKR, this is a K1DBC Net Control. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. The radiation patterns and making sure that your Smith charts and things like that, everything is equalized, and I'm probably not even using the right terms and things like that, but that does make a lot more sense that the placement on a vehicle would affect the radiation pattern. So yeah, very, very cool. This is a K1DBC Net Control. Anyone else on that, go ahead, or TRP or anyone else, go right ahead.
GUM.
Yeah, GUM, go right ahead.
Yeah, but what Brandy said makes sense, right? That unless you are in the center of it, there is some distortion of the radiation pattern. But getting back to the numbers, I guess the ramification of that is you really need to use a good antenna. And if you look at catalogs, we have antennas that are 2.5, maybe 3, 4 dB, depending on the frequency. Say if we use it on 70 centimeters, you may have a good antenna with 4 dB. But then if it's not placed properly, you may end up with unity gain again because of the location of the antenna having the minus 2.8 dB. So I think what we can learn from this is it has to be a good antenna and has to be in the best position, and that is in the center of the vehicle. Otherwise we lose a lot of the energy that is radiated from the antenna and lose that very quickly. That's what I take away from this. So 3 dB, if we take this, that's about half the power that is not radiated properly. So that is a rather big number, and it makes sense. But I was just wondering if anyone has seen challenges to that, that these numbers are maybe not that high, or have seen supporting documentation outside this, what's in the HRO catalog, and apparently it's from Larson Antennas. Back to Net Control.
I'd comment, K0SUM.
All right, SUM, go right ahead.
Wait, is it Richard who's asking the question? Please give your handle, if you would.
Oh, that was Peter, N1GUM.
So my comment is, the thing you deal with in the modern day and age is somewhat about vehicles, because you mentioned DVIs in the center of the roof, but a lot of vehicles now are either aluminum on the top or, I don't know, fiberglass, something else. So they're non-conductive. They don't have a ground plane. So you're forced into using anything with metal where you can get a ground plane, be that hood lip mount or trunk mount or possibly something on your bumper. But modern day cars just aren't made of steel anymore.
Good question about that, about steel. This is K1DBC Net Control. Is that in reference to magnetic mount, or in terms of also mounting other types of antennas as well?
Oh, it would apply to if you're going to do an NMO mount, you still don't have a ground plane going for you. So, yeah, a mag mount actually won't attach. So, yeah, you just keep losing ground plane. So therefore you're forced into different antenna positions and situations. And it varies, especially between VHF, UHF, and HF. HF is a kind of a whole different animal, drone.
All right, sounds good. The SUM, Jonathan. This is K1 DBC Net Control. I'm just looking at a little bit more higher quality of what I was looking at on screen. The Larson Antennas Amateur Antenna Products Volume 2 from 2021. There's some higher quality images, things like that you can check out. It's mostly a catalog, but it does have some pretty good information about mobile antenna placement and things like that. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. Not sure if I missed anything on that, but N1GUM, SUM, UKR, anyone else on that, go right ahead. Good questions, good follow-ups. Really do appreciate that, everyone. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, HF considerations. I think, is that what you mentioned there, SUM? It seems like you would take this into consideration a little bit more on the HF rather than VHF, UHF, or anyone else on that?
What was your question, drone? Yeah, when you're mounting HF antennas mobile, it's a little bit different story because you have somewhat limited options and a number of things going on. But then grounding comes into big play, and yeah, mobile HF use is somewhat more difficult. That's how I describe it.
W0TX repeater.
Gotcha. Sounds good. And I'd be wondering, in terms of how what you were mentioning a few minutes ago, in terms of grounding in vehicles that aren't made of steel and things like that. How does grounding work in more modern vehicles? And does anybody have a more modern vehicle built in the last few years that isn't built of steel and may not have the same grounding abilities? If anybody has any comments on that, I'd love to hear. Let's see, this is K1 DBC Net Control. I am certainly not any expert on this, just looking at hotrodwires.com in terms of how to properly ground an automotive electrical system. They mentioned if you have a fiberglass body, you will need to attach several heavy ground wires to the engine block, run one to the rear, to the dash, and one to the front. That's all that I can really take on that. But maybe you'll need to ground more towards the metallic engine blocks and things like that. But yeah, great questions. Really do appreciate that. Anyone else on that or anything else, please call now.
Kilo 5, Alpha Fox Oscar, late check-in, no traffic.
Kilo 5, Alpha Fox Oscar. Ben, got you checked in. Good to hear you. This is K1 DBC Net Control. I guess this will be a good time to take official check-ins. Let me drop here for just a moment. If you're just tuning in, this is you're listening to the Denver Radio Club Learning Net for April 3rd. Great place to learn about ham radio, STEM topics in general, and thankfully we have plenty of combined experience and expertise. This is K1 DBC Net Control. If you'd like to check in just for the count, or if you have any traffic or questions, we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes. Let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have any traffic or questions, please call now. One more time, if anybody would like to check in at the moment, let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have any traffic or questions, please call now. All right, nothing heard at the moment. We have another 35 minutes or so. There is no hard stop, but we tend to operate for about an hour. I certainly can bring up some things. We've had some pretty good discussions so far. We're starting to make our way into the summer activities, parks on the air, summits on the air. So check those things out. Lots of activities happening, lots of clubs meeting, lots of things like that. Anyone else at the moment? Comments, questions, check-ins? Please call in.
LFR.
Yeah, Chance, WG0 LFR. The net is yours.
So first, a quick comment. I believe I've been able to get into the 6-meter repeater, so maybe we'll QSY after the net. But my question is, regarding end-fed half waves, what does the little magic box do that you plug your coax into? I've heard it referred to as a couple different things, an UNUN or matching network. My question comes from the fact that I just got an Nano VNA and was playing with it and mapped out my radio waves brand end-fed half wave that's cut for 10 meters and found that it is somewhere around 4 SWRs. And then I swapped out the little magic box for the magic box that came with my Chameleon end-fed half wave. And I get much, much better performance. Even with the 10-meter cut wire, I can get into 20-meter, 15-meter, a bunch of different bands with very good performance. And I'm curious what the difference between an UNUN and a matching network is, or a little bit more info on end-fed half waves.
Great question there, LFR. Balanced, unbalanced. What is that box? What does it do? I've heard some very simple explanations sometimes, and I seem to forget those because it seems quite complicated. But it's essentially impedance matching. I have a difficulty explaining it. But if anyone on the net here wants to try to explain a balun or balance, UNUN, go right ahead, please.
Question, SUM.
Yeah, SUM, go ahead.
So, that's interesting. If you used a chameleon and changed it, but UNUN is unbalanced to unbalanced, and a balun is balanced to unbalanced. So, a 9-to-1 end-fed always uses an UNUN, unbalanced to unbalanced. But at the same time, chameleon makes a pretty good tuned product, so you tuned this with something else, the 10-meter band?
The Chameleon box is also for an end-fed half wave with a 60-foot wire, I believe it is, that's supposed to work on 6 to 160 meters. I only have room with my current setup for the 10-meter wire, which is about 17 feet. So I have that set up, and I've noticed wildly different performance, even in the same configuration with the stock radio waves UNUN that should be tuned for 10 meters. But finding that it's not very good, even at 10 meters, I plugged the other one in and have really good results from that. So besides, you get what you pay for, and Chameleon's much more expensive. I'm kind of curious as to why the Chameleon is better, I guess is my question.
I was a little curious to hear you had cut it to your 10 meters. You cut it not to 7 feet, but like 12 or something?
I've used the stock 10-meter wire from the radio waves, so just the wire bit that's tuned for 10 meter. I use that same wire just on the Chameleon box, and I'm able to get very good SWRs on 10 meter, 15 meter, and all the way up to 20 meter, and sometimes a little bit better than that. In fact, on 40 meter, I even get very good SWRs.
So if we go clear back around to your original question, it's like, so you have the chameleon transformer, which is usually a 5-to-1, and then you have another one that seems to work better. Well, moral of the story is go with the one that works better, but I think I got your question sort of right. KE0 SUM.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Thank you very much, Jonathan SUM, for trying to follow up on that. Really appreciate that. And yeah, good question there about that LFR. I have a video playing on my YouTube channel. This is from AT&T archives. Similarities of wave behavior. This is a video of Bell Labs from the 1950s, and waves are waves, whether they're radio waves or waves made of water or whatever it may be, but there's a lot of similarities, and he has a pretty good explanation of that. So this is from the 1950s, but I watched this at some point, and I think this helped me understand impedance matching, things like that. So this is a K1 DBC Net Control. We also had a check-in online, N0MTL. Micah, thank you for checking in. So anyone else on balanced, unbalanced network matching, antenna matching, go right ahead.
Control the counter torque with which it resists the displacement of the medium, and thus match the abbreviated SWR. On the wave machine, the standing wave ratio is about 3-to-1. Now recall that when we had 100% reflection.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, I'd definitely encourage you to check that out. There may be more modern explanations, but I think I watched this video. I'll have to try to watch this again. So understanding SWR and wave behavior, pretty good archive here, AT&T archives, similarities of wave behavior, so check that out. So anyone else on that, go right ahead, please. All right, just quick description of that video. Dr. J. N. Shive of Bell Labs demonstrates and discusses the following aspects of wave behavior. Reflection of waves from free and clamped ends, superposition standing waves in resonance, energy loss by impedance mismatching, reduction of energy loss by quarter wave and tapered section transformers. So really cool video here. I'll get off my soapbox there, but this is K1 DBC Net Control. We have another 30 or so minutes. Any comments, questions, check-ins, please call now.
KD0UKR, I do have a couple questions.
Sounds good. KD0UKR, Brandy, the net is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you, Net Control. So my first question is about grounding a J-pole antenna. So I once had an Elmer on VHF give me some advice about not grounding my J-pole. And I'm a little nervous about that just because I want to make sure that I'm protected from lightning. And I'm a little confused as to whether a lightning arrestor actually grounds the antenna or if it just provides the ground in case of an emergency. And, what are people doing with their J-poles? Are you grounding your J-poles?
Whiskey Zero Alpha Whiskey Sierra here. The lightning arrestor basically has a little device in there so that if the voltage exceeds a certain level, then it circumvents the going to your radio rig, and instead it takes it down to ground. It's generally a little gas discharge tube, so the gas breaks down, it ionizes at a certain voltage, and then it takes the lightning bolt and puts it to ground. Now, they're not 100% effective, so there's still a good chance that it might kill you or burn down your house, but it's generally what people use. Over.
Thank you for that. So are you saying that until that little gas discharge tube blows that it isn't really providing a ground to the antenna. Is that what I glean from your answer?
That's exactly correct. Now, they're generally made so that they look like you have a coax connector on each side of it, so that the ground in that case goes along the outside of the connector on both sides. Now, getting back to the SWR question, in general, this guy named John Portune, who is in our Denver Amateur Radio Club video archive on YouTube, and he goes into quite a bit of detail in terms of how currents flow around coax in both the outside of the shield and the inside of the shield and things like that. So you might want to dig into that. But it will take the ground, it will pass it through the outside of the antenna. Now, that also digs into a lot of other weird details. Give me 1 second. Okay, just didn't want to time out there. So, yeah, so then it could also be that, like, you end up taking your cable and then you go from which is an unbalanced thing, right, where you've got a piece of coax for the center, and then you go to a balanced output through a toroid of some sort to do the impedance matching, and then that'll go into both two sides of an antenna, like a dipole would be good, as an example, and then in that case it's unbalanced, or no, it is balanced at that time. It's balanced because you have these two wires going back and forth, and so the RF goes out one end, and then it's inverted on the other end, and so it acts as though what your ground would be if you were on a long wire or something. I don't know if this is making sense or not, but hopefully. Over.
Okay, thank you for that. I think you really answered my question when you kind of explained how the lightning arrestor works and, what people are doing with their J-poles. If there's a storm happening, I can just unplug it, and if something's going to burn my house down, it's probably just going to burn my house down. There's other things that the lightning can strike if I anger someone above.
Very good. I'm glad I could be somewhat helpful. W0AWS out.
Alpha Bravo.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Thanks for the follow-up there, Albert, AWS, and then we had Alpha Bravo. Go ahead.
On your J-pole, what type of coax are you feeding it with? Are you feeding it with LMR 400 or a ladder line or what?
So I have some really old coax that's RT8, and I'm getting ready to put this antenna back up on the roof, and I'm going to put two J-poles on the roof, and I'll be ordering some new coax, and I believe I'm going to use LMR 400 and snap a few ferrites on there. KT0UKR, over.
This is Kilo Echo 0 Alpha Bravo. Okay, I've never put any J-poles on the roof, but in the backyard here, I had a J-pole up for 2 meters, 70 centimeter, and I had it 17 feet in the air, and it was a copper J-pole. And what I did is I had the Mini X connected to it, but on my mast was 1.25 inch IMC rigid conduit, and down at the base I had a metal, kind of a metal flange, and then next to that I had a 8-foot ground rod pounded into the ground. So what I would do is I would take a number 6 wire and I would hook it from the ground rod to the pipe or the mast or that's down at the bottom of the mast, and I grounded it that way. And as far as how it worked, I never had any problems with it. So I'm kind of curious, what type of J-poles are you using?
one of my J-poles is manufactured by Arrow, and it is an aluminum dual band, 2 meter, 70 centimeter. The other J-pole is a GMRS J-pole, copper, made out of copper pipe.
Okay, so if you run a ground down with it, you know, I don't know, but all I know is on my mast, and the way I grounded it, the antenna worked. But running a ground with your J-pole, hooked to your J-pole, now how are you going to, when you hook this antenna up, is it going to be on a tripod?
W0TX repeater.
My plan was to use a couple of those mounting brackets with the tube that comes off of them and goes up into the air. And then I was going to, those are made out of steel, and I was going to use a short length of 1.5 inch PVC pipe to come off of that and then mount my J-poles onto the PVC pipe. And I plan on keeping them about, probably about 8 feet away from each other.
This is Kilo Echo Zero for Bravo. That's interesting. You know, I don't know how to answer that question because, you know, I haven't experienced that type of setup. But if you run it up with PVC, you'll have your shield, right, and then you'll have your center conductor, and that will be a type of ground. So it should work. But taking a number 6 or something and attaching it to the bracket and then running it down to a ground rod, I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical of that myself.
So I had the dual band antenna installed in very much the same way before I left Colorado. Now I'm back in Colorado, but I did have it on the roof with a very similar installation. I used the vertical tube that was from an old satellite dish, and I took the satellite dish off of it and threw it into the yard, and then I mounted a piece of PVC pipe and the J-pole. And I did use outside about 2/3 the way down the house, I mounted the lightning arrestor, and then I went into the house. I'm going to break really quick here. And so then I went in, and the antenna worked great. I just remember there was one guy that was trying to give me some advice, and I couldn't remember. I think it was a little too technical for me at the time, and he was saying something about not liking the lightning arrestor in the setup. You know, I explained my setup to him, and he didn't like the lightning arrestor. So that's why I had my question.
Why didn't he like the lightning arrestor?
Well, Jonathan, if I could remember that, I wouldn't have asked the question. I really don't remember. I just remember him. It was Bill over on 145, and he had a strong opinion about it. But I think I had a couple of margaritas that evening, and I really don't recall what he told me.
Well, I totally agree with adult beverages in the evening, but yeah, your setup sounds fine. You could put the lightning arrestor in, and the other guy was explaining exactly right how it works, but it's not necessarily a ground. So yeah, doing a ground rod at the same time is always a good idea, but I go with the simple theory. I just disconnect everything. But interesting conversation. KE0, back to that.
Kilo Echo Zero Alpha Bravo. Yeah, I try it. I myself, I have, let's see, I have 6 antennas out in the backyard, and I have no surge suppressors or lightning suppressors on any of them. I don't use them myself, but I don't think that because you put the lightning suppressor or the apparently it's a little gas-filled thing or whatever you use there, I don't think it would bother anything. But as far as the ground itself, I would try it without the ground and without running a ground wire from the from the brace or the bracket that you're using on the roof. I try it without it, and then if it didn't satisfy you, or there was something that wasn't working correctly, then I would try putting a ground on it. But other than that, like I say, I ground everything. I ground all of my masts with ground rods. But anyway, this is Kilo Echo Zero Alpha Bravo, and back to net.
Excellent. Sounds good. This is K1 DVC Net Control. Yeah, great questions there, UKR. Brandy, really do appreciate that. Would love to hear some follow-up in future weeks of your adventures there. There are people that are kind of crotchety in this hobby, and they'll have some opinions, but when it comes to safety perspective, take as much safety as you need to, and I don't think it would really impede on the operations of the antenna, really. So, looking over on jpoleantenna.com, they sell J-poles. J-poles should be grounded, but instead of RF ground, the antenna should have electrical ground to protect it in case of lightning strike. Doesn't enhance the RF radiation, but it's an important safety feature of any installation. Simple ground, electrical ground would consist of a ground line from the antenna, either bonded to the tower system or run a buried ground rod. So yeah, I think that's been said quite a few times. I just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, great question. Anyone else on that? Yeah, there is some confusion in terms of grounding. Let me drop here once more. I think I closed the page, but there are different types of ground. There's grounding for RF radiation patterns, grounding for safety perspectives, and there was one other I saw somewhere. But yeah, great questions. Anyone else on that? Go ahead.
Bravo.
Yeah, Ken, Alpha Bravo. Go ahead.
You calling me crotchety or whatever? Anyway, yeah, I would say it would be better to ground it. I agree. But, you're going to be running a piece of, I guess you could tie wrap a piece of number 6 and follow the coax cable down to the ground and mount a ground rod. Because the grounding, like you say, is the best way. But I would like to hear some follow-up on that myself. Anyway, this is Kilo Echo Zero Alpha Bravo, back to net.
Sounds good there. No, it wasn't directed at you. It's more or less directed at myself sometimes. I feel like that inside sometimes. But no, it's been lovely to work with everyone here. And we all have opinions, and, to each their own. And your mileage may vary in terms of certain things. So, yeah, great follow-up there. We have another 10 minutes or so. Any other comments, questions, check-ins so far for this evening's Learning Net? Please call now.
FBI.
Yeah, KF0 FPI. Ron, go ahead.
Yeah, follow-up to this talk here. I ground everything vertical that's sticking in the air. And I have 2 8-foot ground rod stations, one in the back and one in the north. And I lightning arrest every feed wire that comes in the house, and I have 6 of them, and I really haven't had any problem. And I mean, if the house burns down, if we get a fatal hit, it burns down. It's an act of God. It's not an act of me. That's my safety that I throw at the house. And just to let everybody know what I do. This is KF0FPI, back to net.
W0TX repeater.
Very good follow-up there, FPI Ron. Yeah, absolutely. We don't want to be the victims of our own causing. We certainly want to make sure that with some of the wattages we're dealing with, 100 watts plus or whatever it may be, you want to be very, very careful and take as much knowledge and understanding and as much care as needed to make sure that everyone's safety is involved, is taken in consideration, very, very good. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Any other comments, questions, check-ins, please call down. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. We have another 10 minutes or so until we start to wrap the net up here, but I'll throw it out to the group. Any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else so far for this evening's net? Otherwise, I can read some recent articles here. Anyone else, please call now.
KD0UKR. I do have another question. I just was trying to pause to make sure I wasn't hogging the net.
Not a problem, UKR. That's what this net is for. You go right ahead. Brandy, KD0UKR. The net is yours.
Okay, I watched a really great YouTube video where a gentleman built a Yagi out of copper wire and some PVC pipe, and he built it for fox hunting, and he built it to the third harmonic of the fox's frequency, and I'm building that antenna. I thought it was really cool. That it didn't need any attenuation in order to fox hunt, and so I'm building one. I think I'm probably building two tuned to different frequencies. There's a jammer that I want to try to find, and then also I looked through all the websites for the local groups, and I didn't see any events, like fox hunt events, and I wanted to know.
This is K1 DBC Net Control. I think you dropped out there for a moment. If you have anything else on that, otherwise, I think we did have some information on fox hunting. Go right ahead, though.
I apologize. I might have gone overtime. KD0UKR. I wanted to know if anyone has any information on fox hunt events, because I was having difficult time finding anything on the websites for the local club. Over.
Comment, SUM.
KE0SUM, go right ahead.
Hey, Randy, it's Jonathan here, KE0SUM. Yeah, we've got another hunt coming up in May. We have one in May, but easiest way to, the local group is kind of loosely connected, but go hit up at N0CFM at AOL.com. N0CFM at AOL.com. Robert coordinates these, and we have a group of maybe 12 to 20 people, and yeah, one's coming up.
I apologize for the delay. I was writing that down. So to verify, I have N0CFM at AOL.com. And that's Robert.
Yeah, Robert Paulson. You check him out on QRZ. He's got a pretty nice website with a lot of photos. But he came from Florida a number of years ago. We've been doing this for a couple of years now.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jonathan. It's good to hear that people are hunting fox around here.
Well, and Colorado Springs has a big fox hunting group, a couple of them also, if you're inclined to drive south.
Can you tell me what areas the foxes are usually hidden in for this local group?
Well, I think that's part of the fun. Somebody gets to be the fox and everybody else is a hunter. We call it hidden transmitter hunting to be kind of more correct. But anyway, it changes every game. Whichever is the fox gets to set the areas. And we used to play in 10-mile by 10-mile areas, about 100 square miles. But Robert decided we were getting too good, so now we're doing more like 15 by 15, which is much more challenging. But he also does beginner hunts where we scale it back down. But yeah, whoever the fox kind of gets to decide. We've done pretty much every area of Denver that I can think of, including clear up into Longmont. So yeah, it changes.
Thanks, Glenn. I'll check that.
It's always published. Robert will send you an email with the map.
Great, Jonathan. Thank you for that answer to the question. KD0UKR.
Excellent. Thank you so much there, Jonathan. Absolutely. I didn't want to steal your thunder there. Yeah. We have talked about fox hunting in the past, amateur radio direction finding. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. For anyone listening, you do not need to be a licensed operator to participate in these. It's a lot of really fun kind of orienteering and just a lot of really cool fun. N0CFM, his QRZ page, has some more information on their transmitters. They have, looks like 3 transmitters. They're using at 1 watt and 2 at 15 milliwatts. This was from their March 3rd event. As mentioned there, it's some fairly big boundaries. I have not participated in one myself, but if anybody is wanting to participate, there's a lot of options out there. Or just listen in. You can check in on a repeater and frequency 145.280. A lot of cool stuff there, and really do appreciate. We have Glenn Recker in the chat. Mentioned also RM Ham has one coming up on the 14th, let me see, Sunday, April 14th, 8 a.m., high power fox hunt. A lot of good information on there. So check out rmham.org/calendar for more information on that, and qrz.com/db/N0CFM for this other group here as well. So really do appreciate that, and I'd love to participate. I just simply keep forgetting about it. But we'd love to hear how that goes. But anyone else on fox hunting, go right ahead. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Not just a sport. It really helps with. You can be a part of emergency services, and you can help track avalanche beacons, things like that. So if you're part of any Aries groups, this would be a good way to brush up on your skills and things like that. So not just a sport and a hobby, but can be applied to real-world emergency situations and things like that. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. We have just a couple minutes here, but I didn't want to break any momentum. But anyone else, any comments, questions, check-ins, please call now.
W0TX repeater.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Let's see, I'll just bring up a quick story here. Not necessarily amateur radio, but professional radio. It's on the dailycamera.com, but it's you have to sign up. But basically, volunteer. Let me drop here for a moment. Article titled From the Bottom Up, a CU Boulder student-run radio station makes history, published on March 18th by Livia Doak. A volunteer-based student radio station at the University of Colorado Boulder gained national recognition this month with 2 awards from the Intercollegiate Broadcasting System for the first time in the station's history. Radio 1190 KVCU won an award for the Best Public Affairs Program and the 2024 Best News Director. Jack Armstrong and Jr. at CU Boulder and the news station's director transformed a 3-person radio operation into a 40-person team within a couple of years, turning a once-weekly news broadcast into daily programming. Really, really cool stuff. Really, really cool stuff there. So check that out on the Daily Camera. This is K1DBC Net Control. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins, please call now. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. All right, yeah, sorry, that was a little skim on details there. I didn't read too much on that, do I apologize. But check them out and help your local schools and universities within amateur radio, professional radio, STEM, STEAM. There's a lot of opportunities for our educational systems to be integrated with all these things, so at any level. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. This will be the second to last call. Any last minute comments, questions, check-ins, please call now. Let's see, I'll read another quick article here, and then we'll probably wrap things up. Article titled The Forgotten Star of Radio Astronomy. Ruby Payne Scott and her colleagues unlocked a new way of seeing the universe, but to keep her job, Ruby had to keep a big secret. Bit of a lengthy article, so I'll just skim it here just a little bit, but Australian physicist Ruby Payne Scott helped lay the groundwork for a whole new kind of astronomy, radio astronomy. By scanning the skies for radio waves instead of the light waves that we can see with our eyes, Payne Scott and her colleagues opened a new window into the universe and transformed the way we explore it. But to keep her job as a woman working for the Australian government in the 1940s, Payne Scott had to keep a pretty big secret. So this is actually a podcast, it looks like, and you can go and check that out over on scientificamerican.com. A pretty cool article here on February 8th of 2024. So, yeah, check that out. All right, big stuff here, lots of stuff we talked about. Really cool net here this evening. Antenna positions, ground pole, grounding, J-poles, NFED half waves, balanced, unbalanced, standing waves, standing wave ratios, things like that. A lot of cool stuff. Fox hunts, upcoming stuff. W0tx.org for more information on our club, as mentioned. I'll put one last call out. This will be the last call. Any last minute comments, questions, check-ins, please call now. All right, well, let me bring the net script back up, and we will wrap things up. All right, we had a total of 13 check-ins this evening. Really do appreciate everyone who has checked in. We appreciate the Denver Radio Club for allowing us to use their repeaters. We have a regular meeting on the third Wednesday of the month, 6 p.m. for an Elmers session, and the meeting is at 7 p.m. They take place online, w0tx.org for more information. Everyone licensed or not, member or not, everyone is welcome. So with that, this is Daron, K1 DBC Net Control. It's been a pleasure as always, and we will talk to you all next week. This is K1 DBC 7-3, and I will be clear.
G0 LFR. This is Kilo Echo 0 Alpha Bravo. Are you out there, Chen?
Thank you all. We'll talk to you soon.